Estamos en el edificio, en un despacho de abogados que encabeza Jeffrey Lichtman, que es un abogado muy reconocido en este país. Está considerado como, le llaman el genio criminal, porque es un abogado criminalista. Vamos a hablar quedito, porque aquí todavía están chambeando. Él es el abogado del Chapo Guzmán, aquí en Nueva York, en los Estados Unidos, donde hay un juicio en su contra. Y entonces vamos a entrar aquí. Ya estamos instalados. Y todo está pesadísimo, los hechos. Está blindada, porque este cuate... ¡Ay! Ir de lo más bajo y hasta lo más sublime. Y es que exhibir luces y sombras de cada personaje se vuelve algo fascinante. Esto es en F y por Adela.
Thank you very much. Thank you, I appreciate it. So you've been working, or are you already working with Joaquín Guzmán or not really?
Well,
You're not the lawyer.
I'm sort of in a limbo state. I've been doing some work learning about his case. I'm not allowed to have the discovery materials in the case because I haven't put an official notice of appearance in. But certainly I've, discussed, a variety of strategic issues with regard to the case. So I feel, based on the amount of mileage I feel I've had on this case visiting him, I certainly feel like as if I'm working on the case.
You've been with him for how many
Since
times?
February. I've been visiting him, usually once a week or so, sometimes more.
Oh, once a week?
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't speak English, you don't speak Spanish, so
Well, I've only had 5 years of Spanish in school. I can say about 9 words.
Oh, you do?
No, yeah, sure. That's about it. But I bring an interpreter with me, and it's gotten to the point that it's very easy to communicate with him.
How do you find him? How is he right now? I mean...
He's agitated. I mean, he's stressed, as you can imagine. He's been sitting basically in a cave, in a black hole, since January, the end of January when he got here. He's had virtually no contact with his family. He doesn't get to talk to any other inmates, any other prisoners.
Never?
Never. He doesn't even see them.
Okay.
Doesn't see them. He can speak to guards, except they don't speak Spanish. So the only contact he has with humans are with lawyers. And anybody who's ever had any experience with lawyers, I don't know that I would wish that on my worst enemy, that your only human contact is with lawyers.
Lawyer. Yeah. And you are a lawyer, so you know what you're talking about.
I know it all too well.
Okay.
So it's been tough for him in terms of family. He's not allowed to communicate with his wife. He saw his children, which has been reported
just once, right?
For the first time, for an hour, a first time, and we're on 8 months now. I mean, it's been very, very difficult emotionally for him. He's been under conditions that I've never seen in 27 years.
Is this
of
exceptional?
practice.
Like what?
It's the most exceptional. I don't know that there's an inmate in the country that has a detention set up as he does.
Not even terrorists?
Not that any I've ever been exposed to or represented. He can't write a letter. Any letter that he writes to his family
it has to be
is reviewed by the prosecutors in this case. So you can imagine there's not going to be much detail in those letters.
Well, you have the background. I mean, he's escaped from prison twice, so you know the background a little bit. Maybe that's why, and maybe that explains everything.
Yeah, I'm sure that's certainly what they're using as a pretext to lock him up the way they are. But keep in mind that escaping from a prison in Mexico, with all respect, is not the same as escaping from a prison in New York City.
How's a prison in New York City?
It's highly.
How is it?
It's this is not the kind of prison anyone's ever escaped from. Okay. No one's escaping from a prison like this. He's 10 stories up in Lower Manhattan. Every few feet there's a 2-ton metal door that he would have to get through. It's virtually impossible. I've sat with him well over 100 hours. I've never had a contact visit with him.
Never.
I've never seen him but through glass. It's the only client that I've ever dealt with but I have not been able to sit with and go through materials and have a discussion face to face like a human being. He's not even allowed that. So it's been tough.
You have to do it every time
through the glass.
Okay, how did you get in contact with him, or how did he got in contact with you?
We were recommended by the federal defenders. I went to go see him. Some lawyers were recommended. Some lawyers just went in just to go see him, giving it a shot to try to get the case. My view is as high profile as this case is, it doesn't mean that just because a case is high profile that as a defense lawyer, it's something that I have to have. You need to feel something for the client. You need to feel something for the case, at least for me, I find. It's easier for me to defend someone that I like and that I can understand that, look, I don't judge him the way perhaps the government does, I would hope not. I judge him the way he treats me. Mm-hmm. So forget whatever he's been accused of, forget his history, because if I started judging people based on what they're charged with, I'd never get out of bed in the morning. I can only judge them as how they treat me, and he's been nothing short of a gentleman. He's been polite, he's highly intelligent, he's charming, he's got a great sense of humor. What I'd also say, and this speaks volumes about the man, is that his family loves him. I've met with his wife, I've met with his sister, and they've sat in this very space where you are right now crying about him. And that's not the kind of thing that people do necessarily for every client that I have. But they do for him, and that does give some indication that perhaps there's another side to him than what's been vastly reported by the media.
So you immediately said yes, you would be interested in defending him?
Well, I was interested in the case. I wouldn't have gone to see him if I wasn't interested, but it took a while
for us. Because it's like it's very high profile and it's like a challenge for you, or?
Why I would want the case?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I'd want the case, I suppose, is because it's a humongous challenge. And look, any lawyer that doesn't want a case like this, who would ever want him as their lawyer?
He should be doing something.
I mean, digging ditches, perhaps. I mean, this is the ultimate challenge. You've got the media has already buried him. The prosecutors have already buried him. So society has already buried him. So I have to give him his constitutional rights and give him the fight that he deserves, that everybody charged with a crime deserves. It's easy to represent the guy that perhaps society is a celebrity that society loves and might be easier to get an acquittal, but that's not what we do for a living as defense lawyers. We have to represent the people that are perhaps even hated by society. And I don't know that he's even necessarily hated by society in all corners. I mean, I certainly have spoken to a lot of people that respect him.
Not at the hometown. But you know what we've been through in Mexico because of the drug dealing thing.
You know what? I hear you, and I certainly appreciate that. This is not the first person accused of narcotics crimes that I've represented. But I have to tell you that in Mexico, it's perhaps easy to blame it on the people that are alleged to be dealing drugs. Mexico is a highly corrupt nation. Politicians. This is not all because of Joaquín Guzmán. I mean, this starts from the very top to the very bottom. There is all sorts of wrongful activity going on within the government. Most of that has nothing to do with Joaquín Guzmán, so it's easy to blame it on him, but it's just not true.
Well, but I give you that one. But he's still...
That's very kind of you.
Yeah, he's still a criminal. I mean...
You know what? He's not a criminal in America, is he? Has he been convicted of anything here?
Not here, no.
So he gets his presumption of innocence just like anybody else charged with a crime. Look, if I had $1 for every time a reporter said to me, well, before trial, your client is a criminal. Well, says who? I mean, what evidence have you seen that you can tell us right now on television that says that Joaquín Guzmán is guilty of the crimes that he's charged with in Brooklyn, New York?
What he was moved, right? From a prison in Brooklyn to New York, to Manhattan.
I think he's been in Manhattan since the beginning.
Oh, always.
In Lower Manhattan.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Now, what do you find charming about him, and how do you know he's smart and brilliant?
Well, I know he's smart because anybody with a reasonable IQ can figure out when you're talking to someone who's intelligent. He's very curious about what's going on in the outside world. Many clients are not curious.
You like what's going on?
You know, of course, we'll talk about anything that's going on in the world. We talk about anything and everything.
Give me an example.
He'll want to know what's going on in the country, what's going on in the world, how the president is doing. I mean, he's concerned about, obviously, what's going on in the world. But why do I think he's charming again? If I just focused on the allegations in the indictment, how could I speak to him? Again, these are government accusations. I'm not sure that everybody in America believes every single thing that's coming out of the government's mouth these days, right? So I give him the presumption of innocence. That's the very least he deserves from me. He deserves the presumption of innocence, and he deserves his constitutional rights for me to enforce them. He's charming. Look, he's a funny guy. He asks intelligent questions about the law. Not every client in the first meeting when you're talking to him will be talking about rules of evidence. I mean, this is an intelligent man. Now, it's been tough for him because I've seen him slowly erode since I first started meeting with him in February. What he was in February is not what he is at the end of August, because the constant drumbeat.
Is he depressed? And
I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm depressed when I go in there, and I get to leave every night and go home and sleep in my bed. I can't even imagine what the man is going through, frankly. I can't even imagine. I have been to prison probably once a week on average for the last 27 years. I've been in prisons all over the world. I have never seen a situation as grim and unfair as what he's going through right now. He always greets me with a smile, and when I leave, he says, say hello to your children for me. That's the kind of guy he is. Not every client is like that. Many clients, as you can imagine, are mostly focused on themselves, and it's certainly understandable when you consider what they're going through. Get me out of here, basically, is what they say. Joaquín Guzmán, spends time to ask, how am I doing?
The
how
family.
Are my children? And he's not doing it for television. He's not doing it for the media. He's not doing it for anybody that will see it but me. And
you think that's the way he is?
I think that, look, again, I can't say that I know anything firsthand about what he's accused of, and I know that he's been accused of some horrific crimes. I get it. Most of my clients have been accused of horrific crimes, which is why they need me as a criminal defense lawyer.
And that's your job.
That's
my
my
job.
Understand. I view him, how does he interact with me? And he's been nothing short of decent and kind, patient, and charming. I know that's.
Have you always said no to a client that you just don't like?
Not to represent them?
Yeah.
Many times. Sometimes once a day.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's many clients I'll say no to. Sure.
Because you don't like them?
I just don't want the case. I don't want the case. I don't like the client. I don't feel that there's a connection. Look, it's easy to represent anyone and everyone. Just bring them in, spit them out, have an assembly line of clients, charge them as much money as you can, do as much work as you can. I don't want to do that. That's not what I went into this for. I want to have some feeling about the cases I'm working on, and if I can, I like to have some feeling for the client. Now, I've represented people that I've absolutely been disgusted with, based on things that they've done and things that maybe the way they've even treated me. Absolutely had complete disgust for them. It doesn't change how I work on the case. I want to win the same. I want to win for them, and I want to win for me. That's really the truth. Let's be honest here. It makes it easier, though. I'm not saying that I have to have a client that I like in order to represent, but it certainly helps. And when you're working 16, 17-hour days, better. You know what? It helps a little bit to know that I've got a guy that's appreciating it.
So you've been talking to whom? I mean, Joaquín, and then to the family and the lawyers in Mexico? Or how's the deal here? Because you're not yet the lawyer.
No, I mean, mainly I'm just dealing with him.
Only with him?
Not only. I mean, I've dealt with some other people around him, but mainly it's him.
Okay.
Because that's really, that's really the relationship that matters.
That's what you need to work. Now, what do you need to define what's going to happen? I mean, why are you in the limbo? Because of the money, the payment?
Well, the government has stated from the beginning that he has too much wealth to be entitled to taxpayer-funded federal defenders. And I can certainly understand that position. It makes sense. Then let him hire his own lawyer. He settled on me and a few of my friends now, and we went to the government and said, look, we'd like to come into the case. And they were like, slow down a second. We want to make sure that there's no issue with regard to the funds. We can't promise that the funds won't be seized. So this is not a 2-week minor assault case. This is a major major federal case that's going to last months. The jury selection could last a month in a case like this. Who knows how long it's
When
going
is
to
the jury? You know, the trial.
The trial right now is set for April 18th,
April, right?
I believe, yeah.
Okay.
But this
the
is something that's
selection
going
of
to
the
take a
jury-
year of my life. And it's something that I'm going to be working on nonstop. So,
And you should be expensive.
well, and you know, frankly, I'm not the cheapest lawyer, and that's usually a function of success that I've had for 27 years. I didn't start doing this last night, and I want to be sure that you can see I've got employees, I've got rent. I'm in Midtown Manhattan. It's expensive here. I'd like to be able to pay everyone and make sure that this is not going to be something that's going to destroy me financially. I think, look, I hear from people criticism. Well, if you cared about the case, you'd do it for free. Well, you know what I would say to them?
It's expensive.
You do your job for free for a year and see how your life looks after a year. And by the way, you're going to be working 7 days a week, 16, 17 hours a day. Do all that for free. And oh, by the way, if they take the fee, you may have to put out a few $100,000 as well out of your pocket for expenses. Find me a single person that opens up a mouth that would do that. Guess what? There's not a single person. Every big mouth on the sidelines that says, why are they concerned about the money? You work for free.
Have they been saying that?
I get that, but I mean, look, there's...
Is there any bonus, something?
No, it doesn't work
if
that
you,
way.
No?
No, it doesn't work that way. In America, for criminal cases, you get paid a fee, and you receive a fee. I've had cases where I've gotten acquittals. There's no bonus. Look, what we do is we get paid fairly, if we can, for our work, and that's it. If we win, fantastic. If we lose, you know that we've done everything and anything possible to win a case.
To win the case.
And that's how my clients are, is that people say, well, aren't you nervous representing dangerous people like this? Well, you know what? I'd be nervous if I was betraying them by not working hard enough on their case. It's never happened to me because
they know you've been working on it.
Life and death. Because it's not just them that I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for me too. I mean, I'm not just there to fight for them. I mean, I'm there for myself. I'm there for my children. I'm there to fight for all of us. We're all in this together. That's how I treat the cases, and that's how any good lawyer should treat the case.
Well, but it's not a life issue for you. I mean, it's different. Which was your first case, like these high-profile cases? Do you remember?
I mean, this
Gotti?
The Gotti case. I mean, I've had plenty of cases that were in the media before Gotti, but there's cases that are in the media, and then there are cases that are in the media. And Gotti was something that I would say that in New York was bigger than Guzmán.
Oh, really?
Oh, much bigger.
Oh.
Much bigger in terms of the New York interest.
Okay.
International interest, I would say,
maybe not, yeah.
Guzmán is bigger. But in New York, I mean, this was something that was on the front page of the paper every single day. Guzmán is not a front page story in America, perhaps maybe the day that he was extradited here. And I don't know what it's going to be during the trial, but it's not the same scrutiny locally that it was with Gotti. And, back then...
This was like, how long ago?
It was 2004.
Okay.
Is when it started. I mean, I was a much younger man, as you can see, much skinnier man as well.
We were all.
Yeah, as we all were. Well, you're pretty skinny still. You're okay. But it was something that I never. My children were born premature, 2 weeks after he was indicted. I had 1 year to get ready for the case. I had no employees. Didn't have a secretary. True story.
By yourself?
It was just by myself.
Wow.
I rented some space in another lawyer's firm, and I was visiting my kids at the hospital 3 times a day. They were hospitalized for 9 weeks, twins. And it was actually a great time for me because I just focused on that, and my children, and I focused on the case. And I had great tunnel vision. I worked 7 days a week, never complained, and I loved it. And it never seemed like work for me. It was like climbing a mountain.
It's your passion.
It was passion. As I just climbed Masada in Israel. It was sort of like
the challenge again,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was something that I just needed to get to the top to. And I never felt that we would lose. And we thought of a great defense. It worked out perfectly. And the jury was ready to convict him. It was almost impossible to get a fair jury, an impartial jury. As we were getting ready for opening statements, one of the jurors started to cry. And I looked over, I saw number 3 sobbing uncontrollably and said to the judge, number 3 is crying, Judge, you may want to speak to her. The judge brings her over, asks her what the problem is, and she said, I'm afraid I'm going to get axed. I think she meant whacked. She obviously wasn't watching enough mafia programs on HBO. The judge got rid of her over the government's objections. We put an alternate in. 23 days later, John Gotti walked out of prison.
Wow.
So the point is this.
How did you do that?
You know, look, it's just hard work. A lot of this is hard work, and you have to not only put the time in, but you've got to put the mental time to think up a strategy.
Like a creativity or what?
It's like.
He was already condemned. I mean, in the public, no?
He was
In
convicted,
yeah.
and he was just finishing up a jail sentence. So it wasn't like he was, arrested out of the blue. He was in jail at the time he was indicted, convicted of another crime. But a lot of it was work. And then when you actually do the work, and if you're willing to put the time in, and not just do it lip service, because most lawyers will just give it lip service. They'll tell you they're going to fight real hard for you, and they're not concerned about the case. They're concerned about the money. They're concerned about getting their pusses on TV. It's not like that if you want to actually win a case. You have to feel the case. You have to feel every last bit of it. Read every single word of every piece of evidence.
Like in the movies? Like we see,
No,
like
I
we
don't
watch
see
in the
any lawyer movies.
No, never.
Or any
Okay,
TV shows.
but when we watch you working till
It's
I
7
don't know
days
after
a week.
hours
It
and
is 7 days a week. It is day. It
until
is
you
night.
find the plan and you
It's
find
a
the
puzzle.
strategy.
Every case is a puzzle that eventually you'll see. Well, the government says that your client is guilty. Well, who is the government that's saying it? Oh, look who's saying it. It's people that have lied every single day of their lives. Murderers, drug dealers, killers, lunatics. They're the witnesses. And when the jury sees that perhaps the government's evidence, their cooperating witnesses, are worse than even the ones that are being charged, they start to have some doubt. And you can find the holes in the case. And if you do the work and you never give up, look, the one thing that's great about America, and I'll say this as someone that grew up here and has been in New York now for almost 30 years, this country will give you anything if you work hard. Anything. Anybody who complains and says it's not fair, this or that, I'm telling you, as someone who came from nothing, if you work hard enough, you can have anything you want in America here. All it takes is hard
It's the
work.
land of opportunity.
It really is, and not everybody's willing to put in that time. For John Gotti, who was a brother to me now, and I spoke to him the other day, I speak to him all the time, he's a brother to me now. He was a brother to me
Really?
then and a brother to me now. I consider him part of my family. That's how much I love him and how much I
Even
respect
though
him.
he was part of the mafia.
You know what?
You don't care
he was
about
part of the
values
mafia. I'm a
and-
criminal defense lawyer. I don't know what society would think is
different.
worse.
It's different, no?
I don't know. He never hurt me.
I'm asking.
No, it's not different.
No?
It's not different. And I'm not a...
What about the values and ethics?
His family values are strong. This is somebody that as a young father, was going to every back-to-school night, every parent-teacher meeting. Look, what he did by
Even
getting
though
him-
next day he was killing somebody. What about the values and ethics?
His family values are strong. This is somebody that as a young father, was going to every back-to-school night, every parent-teacher meeting. Look, what he did by
Even
getting
though
him-
next day he was killing somebody.
He wasn't killing anyone. He's never been
Well-
convicted. He's never even been charged with murder. See, that's something that you didn't know because you just assume based on the name. John Gotti Jr. has never been even charged with murder. Now, he was charged with conspiracy to murder, got the charges dismissed, but he's never been convicted of anything like that. So he's different than what people assume. You presume because of the name. And it's the same thing with Chapo Guzmán. Everybody assumes what I've seen on TV. I mean, there's TV shows going on about him. They're highly rated that people are watching. You have to believe that there is some artistic license being used to make him appear more dangerous and more awful than he could ever be because it's for ratings. And it's the same thing with the Gotti name. So I expect the same sort of backlash from the media. I expect it from the jury. I expect it from the judge. I don't care.
You don't care,
No, I'll
whatever
get through
they
it.
did.
I'll get through it.
Okay.
No, I don't care what they do because you know what? If I did care, if it bothered me so much,
Once again,
that it
you wouldn't
impacted,
take the
I'm in the wrong
I
area
know.
of law.
Okay.
It's not for everyone.
So you don't care. Do you need to know the truth? I mean, do you need to know whatever Joaquín Guzmán did or didn't do?
It's not.
Or
No,
it's
not
not
like
important.
that as a defense lawyer. As a defense lawyer, what I care about is here's the indictment, here's the evidence. What is our answer to these allegations? What is our answer to this evidence? If the truth is in there, that's
Fine.
fantastic. If I'm just going to be deflecting the allegations and never really looking for the truth, that's fine too. It's not my job to find the truth. It's the government's job.
I know.
They need to prove the truth. I just need to disprove or at least deflect what they're saying. And that's how I look at it. I can't get bogged down with, tell me every last thing you've done, from Sinaloa to Brooklyn, New York, and everything in between. I'm only here to deal with the allegations that are in front of me. You can't get too wrapped up in every last detail of the man's life, unless it's something that I've got to combat during a trial.
Now, what are the chances? I mean, considering he confessed, I don't know if it's, legally confessed whatever he said to Sean Penn in this interview.
I have to tell you.
But he said,
so I'll answer your second question first, which is about this so-called confession. I don't consider it a confession. I don't know if the government's even planning on using whatever was said.
Can you use it? I mean, is it legally usable?
I don't know that they can use it. Who's going to come in and testify that this is exactly what he was said, that there was no editing of what he said? I mean, look, you're talking about Rolling Stone magazine and Sean Penn. You can't possibly think that that interview was done solely for a search for the truth. It was done to sell magazines. That's what it was for. It was done by an actor to sell magazines. So who knows what came out that wasn't doctored up. I mean, he's an artist, and he was painting a picture. Doesn't mean
there's a tape.
Necessarily the truth.
I mean, it is on tape.
Again, do we know that it's been unedited? Would you want your life to depend on a tape that somebody gave to Rolling Stone? I don't think you would. I don't think anybody would.
So it doesn't affect the case.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does at all. I mean, look, if the government's case is so weak that they're going to be relying on, Sean Penn's taped interview that may or may not have been edited, I like my chances.
Okay, so it's the state versus Joaquín, no?
The federal government.
Okay, and which are the, what is he accused of?
He's accused of various narcotics-related offenses in Brooklyn. I'm talking about just the Brooklyn, the Eastern District of New York case. He's charged with violence. He's charged with narcotics. He's pretty much the whole kitchen sink is how we would call in America.
Everything.
Everything.
So, which are the chances? I know you're called the genius, the what is it? The genius lawyer.
I have to tell you, whatever the media calls me.
LinkedIn.
I'm thrilled that they don't say anything bad about me.
No, they call you the genius.
And I tell you, with all respect to the media, and I appreciate every positive thing that's ever said about me. I also know that the media can turn, as we all know. I know in my heart what kind of lawyer I am, and people that don't know the work that we do and are not familiar with the law, their beliefs on what kind of lawyer I am, and I say this with all respect, you sort of take it with a grain of salt. I know in my heart what kind of man I am and what kind of lawyer I am. I would never count me out in any case. I don't care what the case is. I don't care what people think the odds are. I don't care.
You wouldn't be in if you,
I wouldn't have taken the case if I thought, I didn't take it to lose it.
Are they good chances? I mean,
I don't know. I haven't seen
best scenario. Best scenario.
Best scenario is that he gets an acquittal and we go on to the next case.
How many cases are there?
I think there's 6 right now. So
6.
There's a lot of cases.
Okay.
But I mean, look, you have to keep in mind that, this is not the first client that I've had where I've been told, you've got no chance. I mean, I have had this exact case in New York before, where the night before the opening statement, I was getting emails, congratulations and good luck from people in my field. Not a single person thought, I was going to win. Not a single person said, hope you win. The most I got was just cross-examine hard and,
condolences.
You'll acquit yourself nicely, is what I remember getting. In fact, I have one of the emails framed at home from a mentor of mine who said, just, go get him, Tiger. Not thinking I ever had a chance. I never thought for a second I was going to lose that case.
Never.
Not for a second did I think. Not for a second did I have even a shred of doubt. I was sure we were going to win from the beginning because I saw the evidence and I didn't think it was overwhelming. Everybody was telling me, the media told me it was overwhelming. Well, guess what? They didn't see the evidence. I did. I didn't think it was overwhelming. Their witnesses were garbage. I knew that they were garbage, and I remember telling the government on day 1 of the trial, I can't wait to get to your first cooperator. I'm going to kill him.
What about the evidence in this case, Joaquín?
I haven't seen it yet.
Not yet.
I'm not allowed to see it. There's an order against
What have you seen, or just talked to him, or
just
what's
spoken to him.
That's it.
Just spoken to them, yeah, for the most part, and
And then
read the articles.
when do you think this is going to be?
I'm hoping it's going to be soon. I mean, I think we're getting there. I mean, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to come into the case soon. I mean, we all want to represent them. We all view this, and that's what I like about
The team.
These are good men. One of them I worked with on Gotti and is probably my closest friend in the entire world I trust with my life, is Mark Furnish. So he was the first person I thought to bring on the team. Eduardo and Bill in D.C. are fantastic lawyers and care.
You
about
just
the case.
invited them
No,
for the.
Eduardo on his own was hired as well. We
Oh.
came together. He brought in Bill. We came together, and this is somebody that I feel like I've known my whole life.
Okay.
And this is someone that I'm happy and honored
To be
try
working
a
with.
case
Okay.
absolutely.
So this has to be solved soon, and
Yeah,
this
it's gonna have to be
depends
soon.
on again the state. They have to say, okay, the money.
Well, we're trying to work through those issues. You know, my view is, look, you know, Joaquín Guzmán is charged with very serious crimes that if he's convicted of almost anything in this case, in this first case, he dies in prison, in an American prison.
That's it.
There's no parole here. He dies in prison. If he's convicted of anything, he will die
This first trial.
in just the first trial. So his conditions,
It's either this.
that's it. If he has to win this case.
Okay.
So add on top of that, he has no contact with his family or his loved ones. He's not allowed to have face-to-face dealings with his lawyer without through the glass. His prison conditions are, I believe, are pure torture. I don't think anybody who's actually seen it up there would suggest otherwise. So you put all that together, you figure, you know what, at the very least, can he have the lawyer of his choice? Can he have the lawyer of his choice? Is that asking so much? I don't think that's asking so much, is it? That he at least have the lawyer of his choice. We're not asking for anything more than that. And you'll find, as the lawyer, the kind of guy I am, I don't ask for any favors. I don't ask for anything. I'm just there. Just tell me when the trial date is, and I'll be there. You don't see what goes behind the scenes to get me ready. I'll be there and I'll be ready. Somehow or another, I had a lawyer ask me today, how will you be ready? And before I even answered, he said, oh, I know. I know if anyone's going to be ready, it's going to be you. And I'll be ready. I'm not coming into this case to embarrass myself. It's not going to happen. I am here, and whatever anybody thinks, you have no chance that Joaquín Guzmán is finished. Everything I've heard before in New York in another trial, and we proved those doubters wrong. And believe me, like I said, I wouldn't bet against me.
Okay, now it's all everything about the money, right? I mean, where is he going to find the money to pay you?
This is not something that I deal with. I don't get involved in.
No, I understand, but
finances.
it's all everything is about the money. I mean, like if
Well,
you get paid.
I have to make sure that the government will allow us to keep it. I mean, that's it. It's not. We're not.
He can dispose
haggling
of
over
his
dollars.
money. I mean, he can use his money.
You
Do you know
you
that?
have to talk to the prosecutors about that.
Ah, okay. You
know,
don't.
I don't know
that.
if the money's coming from him. I don't know if it's coming from friends. I don't know anything. These aren't the kind of things we discuss because, frankly, it's none of my business. It's not something that we would discuss. Do I have any reason to believe that I'm getting paid with drug proceeds? Absolutely not. It's not like, the clients don't say to you, look, this is what my criminal business is like. This is how I do. It just doesn't work that way. We're just the lawyers.
Well, you don't even ask
I'm a tool.
either. I mean.
Well, look, it's not like there's not willful avoidance here. I'm not saying don't tell me because I don't want to know, because that's not right either. It's not ethical. And one thing I would never do is do anything that would jeopardize my standing as a lawyer in New York. Look, there are going to be other cases after Joaquín Guzmán. I treat every case like it's the last. I really do. Because you know what? We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. There is no promise for tomorrow. I don't know that I'm going to be here tomorrow. So every day is my last day, is the way I look at things. Every case is my last case. But I am not going to take 27 years of a good reputation to throw it out for anyone, and I never would. Just can't.
Have you seen Joaquín after he was visited by his children, the twins?
Yes.
Yeah? How was he afterwards? What did he say about that?
Well, I don't want to talk too much about what he said. I can tell you that it was a big deal for him to see his children. And look, these are delightful kids. I mean, for them to be able to handle what they did, the way they did, with the media chasing them into the prison, waiting outside for them, and when they're walking into the courthouse and walking out. I mean, these kids are 6 years old. They're 6 years old. And imagine what they have to go through every day. The
but
media
did you
and
expect
society
different?
doesn't
No.
appreciate. Did I expect different? I don't know. I'd like to think that children are sort of kept out a little bit. You know, perhaps they're not. They don't have to have cameras chasing them down the street. Yeah, I did expect more, frankly. But I know that there is an insatiable lust for all things Chapo Guzman. I get it. I understand it. And I understand you have to do your job. I know your job isn't easy. You flew in from Mexico today to meet with me. I mean, I can't think of anything
Well, you're a
worse.
very interesting character.
Well, it's very kind.
I mean, even as interesting as Joaquín.
still.
I mean, in your thing, in your job. I mean, no. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, you are. And then you have this mood, and I've been reading about you, and they say you have this like this way of answering, and you're very aware of yourself and what you know how to do.
I mean, you have to as a defense lawyer. I mean, I'm the only vehicle for Joaquín Guzmán to a jury. I'm the only voice that he has. Nobody else is speaking for him. And I have to treat it that way. I mean, there's an immense, tremendous responsibility that I've got the man's life in my hand. And I had it for every client that I've had. You know, every case that I've had that's gone to trial, or even ones that don't go to trial that you never even hear about, is I have their lives in my hand. And when I'm at trial in front of a jury, how dare I not be prepared? How dare I not have emotion and care for this man? He's a human being. You know, we have to care for him no matter what society thinks. We have to give him his rights. This is what America is about. It's what America was built on. We can't simply say, who cares about Joaquín Guzmán? Let him go to hell. Well, guess what? One day it's Joaquín Guzmán. It's a very slippery slope until it becomes me or you. So we have to fight as hard as we can. And all I can do is give him the voice that he's been silenced right now, hasn't he? He's not only been silenced, you know, in front of a jury unless he testifies on his own behalf, but he's not allowed to speak to the press. I can speak to the press, and that's why you're here, and that's why I'm
I know.
here.
Is that a human right? I mean, he should be allowed to speak to the press, or no? Or they're like...
It's something I've never dealt with before.
Okay.
Look, and I have to tell you, I don't think that this government is an all-encompassing bad government. I think their hearts are in the right place in a lot of things they do, most of the things they do. I don't consider the prosecutors in this case my enemy. One of the prosecutors I've known for 25 years, and
You're a good friend.
I would
mean,
trust her
you're
with
colleague.
anything. As much of a friend, I mean, I wouldn't say that any prosecutor is my friend. Sadly, I don't really associate with them outside the courthouse, but I like her and I trust her. And I've had her on other cases, and she has always proven to be trustworthy and honest.
She's tough, she's good.
She's tough, she's smart, she's fair, and that's all you want. That's all you want from a prosecutor, that's all you want from a judge. Understand this, the judges, for the most part, are former federal prosecutors. They're not exactly inclined to favor a defendant, but you want a judge that's just going to be fair down the line, if you can get it. And you know, Judge Kogan, I expect that from him. And what he did in court last time, he was fair. He was right down the middle. That's all you can hope.
The judge, you mean?
I think so. I mean, he did what he thought was right. I don't think that there's any ill intent from any of these people. But that being said, I think there's been an overreaction to Joaquín Guzmán. As I said, whatever he did in a Mexican prison does not mean it can happen in New York with the different types of conditions that are in place here.
Well, you never know. He's like Houdini. I mean,
Like I said,
like,
how many people have escaped from Mexican prisons? How many people have escaped from federal
well,
prisons?
not from that one. I mean, well,
You know, it's a different situation. Mexico is a highly corrupt
I'm just
nation.
curious. Have you talked to him about that? I'm just
Corrupt
curious.
nation.
Have you talked to him about that?
I can't discuss what I've talked to him about any of the stuff, but I can tell you that I've talked to him about everything.
Okay, including that.
I'm not going to say anything specific,
I mean,
but
it's like,
I find
again-
him to be interesting, and we've had a lot of time together. And when you've had a lot of time with the client and you're not allowed to go through the discovery with him, well, guess what? There's a lot of downtime.
Do you laugh together?
Oh,
Does
yeah.
he laugh?
Oh, he laughs. This is a guy who's very quick to laugh. He's got a great sense of humor. I mean, I consider myself someone with a good sense of humor as well.
Sure.
When we're together, we laugh very hard a lot of the times. And we have, I would say, equally dark senses of humor, I would say, so we got along pretty well. Somebody that I can tell you this, the time that I've spent with him, has not been unenjoyable.
Okay. Is he optimistic? Or
Absolutely, he's optimistic.
Really?
Sure. He wouldn't be looking to hire me and pay me if he wasn't optimistic.
It's a chance. I mean, you always have to look for a chance. But
Not
is he
every
really
client is optimistic. He's a very positive guy. And I don't know how many people that are going to see this interview actually know him, have actually spent time with him. He's a lot different than the way he is portrayed in the media. He is a happy personality, very funny. He laughs, as I said, very easy, loves his family, talks about his family, is interested in the world around him, is highly intelligent. And I was told from the prosecutors, this is not, a guy that's a very learned guy. It's just not true. It's just not true. He is a highly intelligent guy. And you want to do the best for him, but I would for any client. But in a situation like this, when he's been buried as deep as he has, you just want to win more. You really do.
I know he's been through a lot, but also, again, what we know about him is that he's done a lot also to the Mexican society, no? And there's like this feeling, that...
what happens with clients is they may be accused of crimes in other places. There may be findings in other countries about what they perhaps have done. He has not been found guilty of anything in America. I've yet to see a single piece of evidence of anything wrong that he's done in America. And again, I say this with all respect to Mexico, because it's a country I've visited a number of times and loved. But I, with all respect, I don't know that the Mexican criminal justice system is perhaps as rigorous as the American criminal justice system. I can't say that the Mexican criminal justice system is as clean as perhaps the American criminal justice system. You're not having federal judges in America indicted for corruption. Does it happen in Mexico? It doesn't happen in America. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen?
Absolutely not. A federal criminal judge in America, I don't know that I've ever can recall in 27 years across the country that a federal criminal judge has been indicted. In the last 27 years, has it ever happened in Mexico? So when I hear about what he's been accused of, about findings that have been made in Mexico, I pay it no mind.
Don't get me wrong, but I want to ask you this. How old are your children?
They're 13.
13. So they are, old enough to understand some things. And do you ever talk about this to them? Do they ever ask?
Well, they're old enough now.
What do you answer?
Yeah, they ask. That's actually a pretty good personal question. You cut right through my heart there, didn't you? Yeah, they ask, and it's not an easy thing to discuss with them because perhaps the nuance of the American Constitution is perhaps lost on them a little bit. The importance of right to counsel, the importance of a trial by your peers, the importance of all the constitutional rights against torture as well. They're just kids, and what do they know about what's right or wrong? I would say that they're surprised by the attention from the case because, as I said, they were babies when I had Gotti, and any other case I've had it's been high profile. It hasn't been quite as hot as this one has been. But they're respectful and they're supportive, and that's all you really want from the people around you is to be respectful and be supportive and be interested. Because you know what, if you're surrounded by people that are not interested in what you're doing for a living, that's a lonely existence, isn't it?
Yeah, and that should be your wife's case also. But in the case of your children, you want to teach them, no?
Well,
I mean, you like to tell them,
fair point.
What do you think it's about the difference between good and bad?
I teach them that every man deserves a defense.
Okay.
And no matter how much he is loathed in society, that it is important to stick up for people to ensure that they get their constitutional rights. And I say to them, if my clients are found guilty, that's okay, as long as we gave them their rights, as long as we fought as hard as we can. It's okay. I'm not happy about it, but it's something we can all live with. And they understand that. They understand about justice. Justice is most important. That's what I'm trying to teach them.
I understand. Yeah, that's what.
Not right or wrong. My right or wrong to them is it's right if we give the clients their constitutional rights and fight for the underdogs. That's what's right. What wrong is giving up, being lazy, not giving clients your best, that's wrong. In terms of what a jury says, that's out of my hands.
Is it a public trial?
Yes.
How is it going to be?
It'll be public, sure.
It's always public,
It's open to
trials
the public,
in the
absolutely.
States? And
Yes, in America, it's all
Yeah.
open to the public.
Okay.
If you get there early, you can get right in.
Can we invite us?
Sure.
Now, tell me something. No cameras.
No cameras.
No
in
cameras.
federally, no.
Okay. And this is going to be in April.
It looks like it's going to be in
Gonna
April.
be
yeah.
April. And you work with another Mexican, no? From Nayarit. Yeah, he was the state prosecutor in Nayarit.
Oh, you mean another client?
Yeah, another client.
Edgar Veitia.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right.
Yes, he's a client as well.
How's that case?
It's coming along. It's coming along. Just was with Edgar a couple of days ago.
Is he here in New York also?
He's in Brooklyn in the MDC.
Brooklyn.
different
Okay.
prison. Yeah.
And what's the case there?
He's charged with narcotics distribution and various things into New York as well. Also, a Brooklyn federal case. A completely different type of case and a completely different type of person.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, Edgar he's a lawyer. He's highly educated, very low key. But to me, a decent man. I've enjoyed getting to know him. I've enjoyed working for him, and I'm proud to represent him.
He's been here in jail for how long?
I think he's been here since March.
Oh, March.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's, are you optimistic about the case also? I mean, I know you would
Am
never
I
go in.
optimistic about the case? Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful for Edgar. I absolutely am. The Mexican law enforcement is different than American law enforcement. You're dealing with a completely different animal. You're dealing with a society that is perhaps a lot more corrupt than what is in America. And I have great empathy for the Mexican people because pretty much every Mexican that I have met, I've really liked. Maybe I've been lucky. Maybe I've been lucky. But they've all been generous and kind and respectful. And it pains me to see the corruption that goes on in the country and people in America do not appreciate the violence that's going on in Mexico, the corruption. It is awful.
It's terrible.
It is so terrible. It is like a Holocaust.
It's been an ordeal. I mean,
it's been such an ordeal for the people, and the people deserve so much better. The country deserves so much better. It's a beautiful place, and it's hard for me to see it happening. And look, I know people are saying, what the hell is this guy speaking about? He's representing two people that are accused of crimes that have led to some of these problems.
so
Again,
many deaths. I mean,
but it doesn't mean,
innocent deaths.
it doesn't mean that I support crimes. I don't. I just support that they get their constitutional rights. It doesn't mean
A fair trial.
A fair trial doesn't mean that I'm pleased with what's going on over there. I find it painful to hear about and see how tough it is for the Mexican people over there. I do.
Let me ask you something else. Are you in contact with the Mexican lawyers, Joaquín's Mexican
I try not
lawyers?
to talk about any of that kind of stuff.
You cannot talk about that.
I don't talk about any of that.
Okay.
I try to keep it really just on me and Guzmán, me and Joaquín.
Okay.
And that happens to be my Spanish name as well.
Joaquín?
Joaquín, yes.
Jeffrey?
Yes. Well, that's what was given to me in high school.
Tocayo.
It's close enough.
Tocayo.
That was.
And you told me before you've been in Mexico several times,
have.
but not in Mexico City.
No.
Okay. For the case, do you have to go to Mexico?
I'm sure
or you
I'll be in
don't need
Mexico
to go to
sometimes,
Mexico.
I'm
Okay.
sure.
Are you afraid? I mean, have you ever been afraid? Do you use any kind of security?
I've used security. Am I afraid? Well, I wouldn't say that I'm afraid of anything really that it comes to this job. I'm vigilant. I'm careful. I'm not careless. Am I afraid? If I'm afraid, he's got the wrong lawyer. I can't say that I'm afraid of any of this. I'm excited. This is an opportunity. Every case is an opportunity. Every case is an opportunity to, show what we're capable of doing, and also to help out someone who, as I said, like Joaquín Guzmán, is just absolutely buried and left for dead by the press, by society, by the Mexican and American governments. They're viewing this as an inquisition to his ultimate life sentence. I don't feel that way.
Have you ever been threatened? I mean, they have been very
I
big
have to tell you
cases.
that I'm more afraid of the government than I am by any client that I've ever had. I've had the government investigate me in the middle of the Gotti case. They sent someone into the bathroom wearing a wire to try to entrap me into a crime. Didn't work. In the middle of a trial.
Which bathroom? In the
bathroom in the courthouse.
In the courthouse?
Middle of the trial. Came while I was at the urinal. Came with a wire on and tried to entrap me in a crime. That's what this federal government has done. I've had clients that they've induced to try to cooperate against me. You know, that's what I'm afraid of, because the government is not necessarily run by experienced, mature people. The people that are involved making these decisions are sometimes very young, reckless, careless, dishonest prosecutors that want to make a name for themselves. And taking me down would be amazing.
They want to win no matter how, no matter what.
So these are the people that I've got to deal with. So this is the kind of thing that I have to deal with. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of a prosecutor thinking they can take me out in order to make their name. That's what I'm worried about. The clients are easy. The clients are easy in comparison.
Now, in benefit of the audience, what would happen in April if you win the case? What would happen?
I suppose the government's got a few more shots.
Okay,
out.
that doesn't mean Joaquín is going to be out or Joaquín is going to be, okay, you have more cases to win. And if you don't win the case, that would be like a death sentence for Joaquín?
It won't be a death sentence, but it would be,
you can
depending
appeal.
on what the sentence is, we can appeal, but it would be life in prison for the rest of his life.
Okay.
But I mean, keep in mind, I mean, you're aware of how many trials John Gotti had before the government gave up.
Like,
there was four. There was four. And, you know, they had 4 chances at him and they didn't convict him once. So, I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic.
What makes you so good? I mean, just the hard work?
I don't know.
Come on.
I'm not so good every day. I mean, every day is a different day. The hard work is a lot of it. You know, look.
It helps a lot.
It's a large part of it. Luck is the residue of hard work. I mean, I can tell you that I've had some great days in court that I would chalk up to, you know, me being, you know, highly intelligent and also highly prepared. But I can tell you that there are many days you get lucky, and there are many days that the luck just isn't on your side.
But you've never regret to take a case, like a case you've taken?
I've never...
Regret a case that you've taken?
If I ever regretted... I've never regretted taking a case. I've had some cases that I've had some remorse that I feel like I could have done more. I mean, you know, it sounds silly and it's a little embarrassing to even talk about, but there was a case in 1994, I think I had, ended up with a guilty plea, a narcotics case in actually it was in Long Island. And I have regrets about I could have worked harder on that case. I felt, I mean, the client's been out of jail for probably 15 years now, but I still feel some regret. I feel like I could have worked harder. But, you know, you don't want to have that. It keeps you up at night. I don't want to live with that.
I know.
I mean,
What keeps you out at night? Only work?
I don't sleep much, so I can tell you that
How
pretty
many
much
hours
everything.
a day?
4, maybe.
That's it?
Maybe. And it's not because I'm working around the clock. I mean,
You're thinking.
I'm thinking a lot. There's a lot on my mind, and it's very hard to sleep. I don't take sleeping
So
pills.
you're very obsessive, I guess.
I mean, it's not that I'm obsessed. I don't have a choice. I mean, I'm expected to be prepared the next day for court, or the next week, or the next month.
And it takes hours.
You know, I go away. I don't get to just, you know, leave this all behind. It follows me wherever I go. So there's a lot on my mind. I mean, I'm not up working every night, you know, till 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, I'm gripping the sheets some nights thinking. There's a lot. I don't sleep very much. I probably should take sleeping pills. I don't take any.
Do you exercise? Maybe
I should probably exercise more. It would certainly help me perhaps sleep at night.
What does your wife do? I mean,
I don't want to talk about anything else really with the family. It's not in a case like this.
okay, but she doesn't work with you, or she's okay.
The kids are going to see me in trial for the first time in this case.
Oh, really? Wow. Are they coming up? Are they
They'll be
going to?
coming. So I want them there.
Yeah.
I want them to see
What you
I for a living.
do.
It's time. Look, it's time that they see what I do for a living. All they've had to hear me blab about it for all these years, and you know, I don't know how interested they are yet. I can tell you this: they'll sure be interested when they come in to that courtroom because they have no idea what they're going to see.
Of course.
I mean, it's a show. I promise you, it'll be a show that'll be enjoyed by all.
So if you allow me, we'll keep in touch, and I would so much.
Anytime you want to fly in from Mexico to see me, you're welcome.
I will. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
You're welcome.
Thank you very,
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias a usted por su atención y compañía. Yo soy Adela Micha y hasta la próxima.